Welcome to ValueVest Daily. Before we jump in, a quick reminder. This is not financial or tax advice. Okay, let's get into it. What if I told you that Amazon just made a quiet, multi-billion-dollar bet on the one thing that every single AI giant desperately needs, but almost nobody is talking about? And no, it's not chips, it's not software, it's power. Just raw, reliable, 24/7 power. You see, a nuclear energy company called X Energy just went public, and the market's reaction tells a really fascinating story about the future. Today, we're going to break down this blockbuster IPO to understand the huge shift happening right at the intersection of AI and energy.
So let's just start with the number that put this company on everybody's radar, 27%. Now that wasn't over a year or even a month. That was the jump in a single day right after X Energy's IPO. I mean, think about that. The company priced its shares way above what anyone expected, which already showed huge interest. And even then, investors still piled in, pushing the price from $23 to over $29 on day one. A move like that, well, it isn't just excitement. It's a huge signal of intense, almost frantic demand from the big players. And we really need to dig into why the big money is so eager to get a piece of this.
And this wasn't just a strong start, it was literally historic. X Energy raised over $1 billion. That makes it the largest public offering for a nuclear company ever. That gives them this massive war chest to go out and execute their pretty ambitious plans. By the end of that first day, the company was valued at nearly $11.5 billion. So the market isn't just whispering about a new opportunity here, it's practically screaming that something fundamental has changed in the energy world, and the catalyst has everything to do with AI.
So yeah, this brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Why this company? And why right now? I mean, let's be honest. Nuclear power has been around for ages, and it's often been bogged down by controversy, crazy cost overruns, and these massive, slow-moving projects. So what's different this time? Why is Wall Street suddenly throwing billions of dollars at a nuclear tech company that isn't even making any money yet? Well, the answer, as you've probably guessed, lies right at the heart of the biggest tech revolution of our lifetime. The hidden catalyst, the secret ingredient that's driving all of this hype, is the absolutely massive power requirement of artificial intelligence. You've got companies like OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. They're all in this global arms race to build data centers the size of small cities. And these data centers are incredibly thirsty for one thing above all else: electricity. This is the secret engine, the invisible bottleneck, that is driving this whole X Energy story. Let's be really clear about the scale we're talking about here. A single complex AI training run can burn through as much electricity as thousands of homes use in a day. We are not talking about a small, little increase in power demand. No, this is a massive leap in our global energy needs that our current electrical grid is just not ready for. And as AI models get more and more powerful, their appetite for energy is only going to grow exponentially. This isn't some problem for the future, it's a problem for right now.
And here is where the scale of that problem just slaps you in the face. Real, credible analysts are projecting that by 2030, and that's just a few years away, data centers for AI could be eating up to 10% of all electricity in the United States. A decade ago, that slice of the pie would have been so small you couldn't even see it. This is a tectonic shift, and it's creating this desperate, urgent need for a new source of massive, reliable, and clean power. Okay, so the obvious question is, hey, why not just build more solar panels and wind turbines? They're clean, right? Well, the problem is something called intermittency. See, data centers and the AIs they run need power 24/7, 365, without a single hiccup. They can't afford downtime. But solar doesn't work at night, and wind doesn't work when it's not windy. They need what the energy pros call baseload power, a constant, steady, around-the-clock source of electricity. And if you want that baseload power to be carbon-free, well, nuclear is pretty much the only game in town. And that brings us right to the solution X Energy is putting on the table. Now, it's super important to understand they are not building those giant concrete-domed nuclear plants from the last century. Their whole approach is totally different. They're on the cutting edge of a new technology called small modular reactors, or SMRs. This is nuclear power, but completely reimagined for today. You know, the best way to think about an SMR is like a Lego-sized nuclear power plant. Instead of a huge, decade-long custom-built construction project that's different every single time, these reactors are designed to be built on a factory assembly line, just like a car or an airplane. Then they're shipped to the location and just assembled on site. This completely flips the script on the economics, the timeline, and the scalability of nuclear energy. It turns it from this mega project into a manufactured product. Okay, so let's get into X Energy's flagship product, the X100, because this is where the tech really shines. Instead of using water like old reactors, it uses helium gas. That means it can run hotter and at lower pressure, which makes it way more efficient and safer. And its fuel, this proprietary stuff called Triso X, just imagine tiny little grains of uranium fuel, and each one is wrapped in multiple layers of ceramic and carbon. It makes the fuel incredibly tough and basically meltdown-proof. This leads to what engineers call a walk-away safe design. That literally means if something goes wrong, the laws of physics just shut the reactor down safely, no human needed. Each one of these modules produces 80 megawatts of clean power, and you can just string them together like batteries to get as much power as you need. And this new tech unlocks a totally new business model. This is the assembly line approach to nuclear power. So step one, you build it with precision in a controlled factory, which makes it higher quality and cheaper. Step two, you ship these standard modules out on a truck or a train. Step three, you assemble it fast on site, cutting construction time from a decade down to maybe just a couple of years. And step four is scalability. If a data center needs more power down the road, they just order and plug in more modules. It's kind of like the Tesla approach to nuclear energy, totally rethinking how you build the thing from the ground up.
So we've got this game-changing tech meeting a massive, undeniable demand. But an idea is only as good as the money and the customers behind it. And this is where the X Energy story goes from just compelling to potentially historic. It's time to follow the money and see who is placing these huge bets. And maybe more importantly, why?
The list of early backers here is basically a who's who of smart global capital. You have Ares Management, a giant private equity firm known for making these long-term infrastructure plays. Their involvement signals they believe in this for the long haul. You've got Ken Griffin's Citadel, one of the sharpest hedge funds on the planet. Their presence suggests they see major financial upside. And then, leading the pack, you have Amazon, investing through their Climate Pledge Fund. I mean, when you see this level of smart money piling into a deal before it even was public, you really have to pay attention. But here it is, the most important point of this whole story, captured right here. Amazon isn't just an investor, they're the anchor customer. This isn't just some financial bet for them. No, they are investing to solve their own massive existential problem. How in the world are we going to power the explosive growth of AWS and our AI divisions with clean, reliable energy? They are betting on X Energy to literally power their own future. And that commitment, it isn't just talk. Amazon has signed a binding agreement to buy up to 5 gigawatts of electricity from X Energy's reactors by 2039. To put that into perspective, that's enough power for millions of homes, or, more importantly, enough to run thousands upon thousands of those power-hungry AI servers. This isn't hype. It's a contracted, multi-billion-dollar revenue stream that basically de-risks the company's future in a way that most startups can only dream of. Now, as investors, we have to look at both sides of this. The bull case is incredibly strong. A massive, growing market, that foundational deal with Amazon, a first-mover advantage, and over $1 billion in the bank. But the risks are just as real. This is nuclear energy, so regulatory delays are always a possibility. There are always risks with building brand new tech for the first time. The company isn't making money yet, and it's going to burn through a lot of cash to build its first plants. So valuing a company like this is tough. A traditional discounted cash flow model is really hard to apply when cash flows are still years away. Any valuation today is a big bet on who's going to win the infrastructure race for the 2030s. So let's just zoom out for a second. The X Energy IPO isn't just a story about one company. It's a landmark event. It signals this fundamental shift in how the market understands our energy and tech worlds. You could say this is the moment Wall Street really woke up and realized that the future of AI is completely tied to the future of advanced, clean, baseload energy. And this timeline really drives home that this is a long-term story. The IPO in 2026, that was just the starting pistol. The real work is just beginning. The company's targeting its first reactor deployments in the early 2030s, and that massive Amazon deal gives them a clear target to hit by 2039. This is an investment for patient people, for those who get that building the heavy-duty infrastructure for the AI revolution is a marathon, not a sprint. So the ultimate takeaway here is this. We are watching two of the most powerful forces on the planet collide and merge. During the gold rush, the people who made the most money weren't the miners. They were the ones selling the picks and shovels. Well, in the AI gold rush, NVIDIA exploded by providing the GPUs, the picks and shovels for training AI.
X Energy is now positioning itself to provide the electricity, the very power that makes all those picks and shovels run. It's the next evolution of the picks and shovels trade for the AI era.
Which leaves us with this final big thought. Is this it? Is advanced modular nuclear power the key that's going to unlock the full potential of AI? The market, with its billion-dollar IPO and that 27% pop, seems to be betting a big yes. It's a fascinating, high-stakes story we'll be watching closely. What do you think? Please subscribe, like, and share ValueVest Daily for daily learning opportunities before you put your money to work. And one more thing, please put in a comment if you want us to deep dive into any specific high-risk/reward opportunities.